Ibrahim Traoré still remembered the dusty afternoons of his childhood in Kaya, where he and his closest friend, Musa, would race down dirt roads or sit by the river watching the sun disappear beyond the horizon. They grew up like brothers, sharing meals, dreams, and a vision of a free Burkina Faso. When Traoré joined the army, Musa followed. Years later, when Traoré became Africa's youngest head of state, Musa reappeared as one of his closest security advisors. No one could have imagined that this bond of brotherhood was hiding a devastating betrayal, an espionage plot that threatened to shake the nation itself. It began with small cracks. Classified plans to safeguard national grain depots mysteriously leaked. Convoys carrying supplies were ambushed as if someone inside had drawn the maps for the enemy. Suspicion grew, but Traoré never once thought of Musa, until the day, during a private briefing, he noticed scribbles in the margin of a document. The handwriting was familiar, unmistakable, the same messy scrawl Musa had used since childhood. The realization froze him. A secret investigation was launched. Slowly, intelligence reports revealed the unthinkable truth. Musa, his childhood brother, had been recruited by an international spy network years earlier during his military training abroad. His mission was to become Traoré's shadow, win absolute trust, and one day sabotage from within. For Traoré, the revelation was not only political, but deeply personal. A lifetime of brotherhood revealed as theater, a friendship weaponized. Yet instead of striking immediately, he chose silence, watching carefully, waiting for Musa to reveal the full network behind him. The final confrontation between friendship and betrayal would shock the world. For weeks, Traoré kept his silence, never betraying a hint of suspicion toward Musa. He continued to sit at the same table, attend the same meetings, even going out of his way at times to appear more trusting than before. But behind the scenes, he unleashed a covert surveillance web, planting eyes and ears around Musa's every move. Every phone call, every visit, even scraps of paper thrown into waste bins were collected. Slowly, the fragments revealed a grim picture. Musa was not a lone spy. He was a node in an international intelligence network backed from outside Africa, designed to infiltrate governments and sabotage them from within. Secret reports confirmed Musa had leaked national security strategies, gold transport routes, and even confidential diplomatic negotiations with neighboring states. Most damning was evidence that he had warned outsiders about Operation Harvest Shield, nearly exposing the grain convoy routes. Only Traoré's decoy plan had saved Burkina Faso from disaster. The realization that the president's closest companion had nearly doomed the nation was unbearable. One somber evening, Traoré sat alone in a dim room, staring at an old photograph of himself and Musa as children, laughing beside the Kaya River. "Why you, Musa?" he whispered. That night, he resolved not to arrest him immediately. Instead, Traoré would turn betrayal into leverage, use Musa as a bridge to unravel the entire web tightening around Burkina Faso. The plan was set. Musa would continue, believing his secret safe. Meanwhile, every line of communication was monitored, every message decrypted. One by one, members of the network emerged. Within 3 months, Burkina Faso had identified more than a dozen key operatives working under the cover of diplomacy, business, and even humanitarian aid. Those who thought they were manipulating Traoré from the shadows now found themselves pawns in his game. But the dangerous game could not last forever. The moment Musa realized he had been discovered, the entire web would combust. That moment came on a stormy night when Musa slipped out of the presidential compound to meet a diplomat at a villa on the outskirts of the city. Burkinabe agents shadowed him, sealing off the perimeter. Traoré received the call and knew it was time to confront the childhood friend who had become a traitor. That night, the skies over Ouagadougou were heavy with storm clouds, lightning slashing across the horizon as if heralding a confrontation that could no longer be avoided. The villa where Musa was scheduled to meet his foreign contact had been quietly surrounded by security forces, every exit watched by snipers hidden in the shadows. Inside, Musa sat across from a so-called diplomat from a European nation. He whispered details about upcoming gold transport routes, about rifts within the government, believing he remained the prized pawn in a greater game. What he didn't know was that every word was being recorded and streamed directly to the presidential palace. When the door burst open, Musa flinched. The man entering was not a security officer, but Ibrahim Traoré himself. Clad in uniform, his face carved in stone, his eyes locked onto the friend of his childhood. For a moment, the room froze in silence. Musa sprang to his feet, stammering, "Ibrahim, what are you doing here?" His voice cracked, trembling with both fear and disbelief. Traoré walked slowly to the table, placing upon it an old photograph of two boys by the Kaya River. His voice was low and steady. "I called you my brother, and all these years you were only pretending." Musa's expression shifted from fear to cold detachment. "You don't understand, Ibrahim. There are forces greater than friendship, greater than this country. I simply chose to stand with the winners." The words pierced like a knife. Yet Traoré did not explode. Instead, he smiled faintly. "The greatest mistake of a spy is believing he is in control, when in truth, he has been controlled all along." At his signal, agents stormed in, seizing the diplomat and clamping irons on Musa. But Traoré gave no order for immediate punishment. He wanted Musa to live, to watch the network he had served collapse piece by piece. Suddenly, Musa roared, wrenching against his captors. "Ibrahim, do you think you've won? You don't understand. This game runs deeper than you imagine. You are not fighting me. You are fighting the entire world." His scream echoed through the room, sending a chill into even the hardened soldiers. Traoré remained silent, eyes burning with resolve. He knew the real war was only beginning. The news of Musa's arrest shook the capital. Some whispered it was nothing more than a political purge to eliminate a close advisor. Others murmured that the president had just exposed a spy embedded for years within the corridors of power. But in the secured underground chamber of the palace, the truth was far more terrifying. Traoré did not hand Musa over to the courts immediately. He wanted to use the time to force his childhood friend to reveal the network behind him. Under the cold glare of interrogation lights, Musa sat motionless, his face a mask of defiance and despair. Traoré did not use violence. Instead, he appealed to their shared past. "Musa, do you remember the red dirt road in Kaya? Do you remember the day I fell off my bicycle and you carried me home? Why does that friendship end here, in this dark room?" But Musa only smirked, his eyes gleaming with something irretrievable. "Ibrahim, you don't understand. I'm not the only one. There are others, in your government, in your army. I was just a pawn." The room fell silent. If Musa spoke the truth, then betrayal was not a single act of treachery, but a systemic infiltration. Traoré ordered an immediate counterintelligence sweep. Within weeks, names began to surface. A diplomatic aide tied to a foreign embassy, a senior officer within border security, even a finance official who had managed international loans. The revelations rattled the political establishment. External powers, long accustomed to treating Burkina Faso as a manageable pawn, were suddenly exposed. Western media responded with vague reports, accusing Traoré of human rights abuses and arbitrary detentions. But among the people, the narrative was different. They whispered that their president had done what no leader before dared, unmask traitors disguised as friends and allies. Musa, however, did not crumble. He grew more enigmatic. During one interrogation, he suddenly smiled and said quietly, "Ibrahim, I won't live long. But before I disappear, you will see that this game is bigger than Burkina Faso, and the price will not be mine alone to pay." His words echoed like a curse, and Traoré understood that storms still lay ahead, and this victory was only the beginning of a long war. Musa was held in the most secure cell in the capital, guarded day and night. Yet one bleak morning, as Traoré prepared for another interrogation, grim news arrived. Musa was dead. The report revealed he had been poisoned with a rare compound unavailable in Burkina Faso. The implication was clear. A foreign hand had reached into the nation's most secure prison to silence its most dangerous witness before he could speak. Traoré stood quietly over the body of his childhood friend. Memories flooded back, sunlit afternoons racing through the fields of Kaya, nights spent dreaming of freedom together. He whispered, "Musa, you chose betrayal, but your death proves you were only a pawn, and the puppeteers will now be forced into the light." His eyes were heavy with grief but steeled with iron resolve. Friendship had ended, but the war had only begun. Soon after, Burkina Faso announced Operation Shadow Hand, a sweeping effort to dismantle the international spy networks embedded across Africa. The fragments of information recovered from Musa were enough to launch a continent-wide probe. Neighboring states came forward, admitting they too had been infiltrated. For the first time, a regional anti-espionage alliance was formed, aimed at protecting African sovereignty from foreign manipulation. Ironically, Musa's death did not erode public trust, it strengthened it. On the streets of Ouagadougou, people whispered, "If even his closest friend betrayed him and he still stands, then he is truly fighting for us." The people became his strongest shield. The story did not end with punishment for a traitor, but with a deeper lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one closest to you. And to protect a nation, a leader must face not only foreign foes, but the ghosts of his own past. Ibrahim Traoré lost a friend, but he gained a truth. Africa's struggle for independence will not only be fought on battlefields, but in hearts, in relationships, and in the choices between loyalty and betrayal.